Okay. Okay, so before people start asking, yes, the quiz is at 10 a.m. and we are going to start at 10 a.m. You will have 40 minutes to do the quiz. So, and once the quiz is done, we are going to discuss the solution of the quiz. If you are away, if you are traveling, something like that, so uh, you should have planned that before taking on the journey, like wherever you are going, because the time of the quiz or time of the lecture cannot be changed. Um, so wish you best of luck. If you are having some problem, the time will not be changed. So do your best wherever you are to complete the quiz. Okay, so what we are going to do today is we are going to review classes. We had one class related to classes, and I realized that some people were having issues with that. So I'm going to go step by step and review like what the classes are, how they work, how we can work in them, and we are going to like work in classes and see like why they are beneficial. Okay, so let me open this and minimizing another taker. So let's open this. This here. Okay. Um, so I'm going to start with a very basic example. The basic example is that we are going to write a program which is about light management. Light management, you can think that we are going to have a party and you have a couple of lights in your room and you want to manage like what is going to be the lighting of the room. Okay, and for that you are going to have different lights, and the left lights will be either on or off. They will have different colors, and they will have different intensity. So that is what you're going to write today. Like you're going to write a
कोई ने कॉल कर दे
write just a moment. So view chat. So screen share. I had shared the screen. Okay. I share it anyway. Share screen share. Okay. Okay. Screen shared. And we'll do it this way. Okay, so we are going to work with the lights, and we are going to work with the classes, and we'll see like how that can be worked. Now, before we begin that, now suppose you want to have you want to work on classes, and you're not going to use sorry. Well, let's start again. We are going to work with lights. Lights have different properties, and they have different functions, and we want to like store the status of the lights and the functions within our program. So one way we can do that is that we write an array. We write a string, and the string is put in an array. So for example, I want to have a light, so I will write the string light 1, and then I will give it, suppose the intensity of the light it ranges from 0 to 10. So maybe the light is very intense. It is at the rating 8, and the light is on, so it will be 1. And the colors of the light. Now, normally the colors of the light are in red, green, and blue when it comes to computers. So if you want to have a certain color, you need to give it a red value, a green value, and a blue value. So the red value can range from 0 to 255. So suppose it's quite red, so you will write 255. And suppose there's no green color, so you write a 0 over there. And suppose there's no blue color, so you write a 0 over there. So this tells us like the value of the if the light is bright red, the light is on because I have written a 1 over here, or I can also write true over here, or let's make it one. 1 or 2 means the same thing, and 8 is the intensity. Now, whenever you write something like this, you have to remember like what is this 8, what is 1, what is 255, and what is 0 and 0. So this can very well be like this is the red color R, this is the green color, this is the blue color, and this is intensity, and this is whether the light is on or off. And now when you write something like this, you have to remember like what number uh, what number designates a certain number. So like what do we mean by these numbers? You have to remember that. So this is how you will normally store the value of a light. If you were to uh, for example, remember like uh, what is the status of the light. Another way you can do this is instead of string, you can also, since the values are all integer values, you can go with integer, make it an array. And once you make it an array, you write something like this, and we make it in an array, and you can store everything which has to do with light one. You store it like this, and then you remember like what these values stand for. Another way you can do this is you can make a multi-dimensional array, and then you uh, sorry let's so suppose if you want to have a light number 2, so you will normally you will copy this, and you will copy this, and then you will paste this, you will call it light number 2, and then you will give it different values. For example, the light 2 has a very dark color, so you can make it like something like this. So it has a very dark green color, and its intensity is 8, and it is on. Okay, so you can keep it like this. Now this can also become cumbersome, because if you have multiple lights, you can store it like this. Then what you will have to do, you will have to like remove this value, and you will have to make a multi-dimensional array. Let's call it lights. And then you will have to store individual values, something like this. Uh, and then you put a comma, and then you store these values. You put it like this. Okay, so you can make a multi-dimensional array, and if you have two lights, so you will make it something like this. Okay, so we did something like this when we were working with arrays. We had working with matrices. So we had a matrix, and we wanted to like write down what are the values within the matrix. So you wrote something like this. So now if you want to access the lights, we can use the index values, and we can access these. Well, we can do it this way as well, but again, you can see that remembering like where everything is, you have to keep track of that, and as you increase the number of properties, this thing becomes quite complicated. So so in order to reduce this complication, we normally work with classes, and now we are going to see like how those classes work. So we remove this. Let me write the main function. So public static void main, and string args. Okay, so this is the starting point. So you can see like how I always started this way, and now I want to create uh, my light class. So I will go to file and new file, and I will go to file, save as. In Java, I write light.java and save it as Java. So we have a class over here. So now I have created a light class, and now I want to define the properties of the class. So the class is public, and so all the properties for the time being, I'll keep them public. So I'll write public int intensity. I put it equal to suppose 5, and public Boolean status. I keep it as student is on, and then I have public int red, which is equal to 255, and public int green is equal to 0, and public int blue, which is equal to 0 again. So I write this. So this defines a light. So whenever I'm going to create a light, it's going to have 5 intensity. It's going to have the status of on. It's going to be red, green, and blue. So it's going to have red color, which is 255, green color, and blue color. Now, why the value 255? As I said before, I told you before that this stands for a byte value, which goes from 0 to 255, which makes a total of 256 values. And you can just check these values in MS Paint. If you come over here, you click on edit colors. So you get these values over here, RGB. So if you put something like 300, so it doesn't let you go beyond 300, just keeps you at 255. Okay, so 255 is the most red value you can have. And so that's how you get all the RGB values. The color in computers work that way. Now, once you have written this, I save this and I go back to light management. And over here, I write light. As soon as I write light, so it understands that I mean the class. I give it again name of the light. I give it with a small l. Light is equal to new light. So I declare a variable by the name of light, and I declare it as a new light. So a memory is allocated this at this point, and then I can, if I want to get the status of the light, so I write system.out.print, and I write light dot. And now I can give like blue, green, and red and status. So it shows me all the variables which I have made public, and I can write anything over here to get the value. So let's write intensity. It was 5, if I remember correctly. Now once this is done, if I run this, so it should give me. Oh, made a mistake. Light Java cannot convert from int to boolean. Into boolean. Okay. Light boolean status is true. This is not letting me do that, so to boolean status that should work. And now we run this again. So it's now giving us 5. So this is what the intensity was over here. Okay, 5. It's showing us the intensity, and I can always like write something like this: light dot intensity, and I put it equal to suppose 2. And if I run this now, so it will show me 2 as the answer. Okay, so I can make changes to the light, and the intensity is changed, and it will change the value stored within the light. So suppose this was the light number 1. If I want to have light number 2, so I copy this. So let's copy this, all of it. And now suppose it's not light, it's street light. Street light. And now the street light intensity is, suppose it's 8, and I write dot street light dot intensity. So now if I want to print out the intensity of street light, it will be 8. So over here I will get a 2. So the value of intensity for light will be 2, and the value of intensity for street light is going to be 8. If I run this, so it should show me 2 and 8 right over here. So this is a separate light object, and this is a separate light object. So how will you store multiple like light 1 and light 2? I just showed you like how you will store light 1 and light 2. Okay, so there is something on top of that. To call a class, it is necessary to make a variable like light. Yes, you will have to make a variable necessary. Uh, Depending on if you want to make a separate object. Normally you have static functions within the class, so you can call those functions without creating an object of a class. But whenever you call a class, so any function that can be called without creating the object of a class, it's a universal function. It applies to everyone. So then it will be a static function, and it's going to be universal for everyone. For example, I want to see um, I want to see all the values of lights. So in that case, I can just write a show function, and the show function is going to show us everything that is to do with the light. I'll be doing that soon, very soon. Uh, so how will we store multiple info like light 1 and light 2? So I just did that. I made a variable one by light and another variable by the name of street light, and I can do the same thing by making an array. How did you access the separate file, Light or Java from light management? What you have to do is wherever the light management was, I have to place the other class within the same folder. That's it. So you create a new class, and it's in this, if it is in the same folder, you will be able to access it. So that's how it is done. Uh, make a variable to public access. Yes, because publics with the variable in Java, the variables by default are have package visibility. They don't have private visibility. They have package visibility. So if they are in the same folder, they are visible. But to be safe, I'm not going with the package visibility, because that goes to advanced object-oriented programming. I'm just going with the basic object-oriented. So I'm just keeping them as public. So if they are more like 2, like 20, will we do the same copy paste? You can do same copy paste, but it's going to be cumbersome. So it's better to create an object. So you create an array, and you will access everything using the array. So this way, anything which is visible, you can work with that. So suppose if I street light dot, so you get all these variables over here. So you can see all these variables because these have been made public. Uh, Now suppose I wanted to keep the status of the light, so is in fact intensity of the light private. Okay, I don't want to anyone to fiddle with the intensity of the light. So what I will do is dot intensity. What I will do is I go to light, and instead of making intensity public, I will make it private. So every light is going to have private intensity, and as soon as I make it private, it's showing me like I cannot access this because this value has become private. So I will have to comment this out. And since the value is private, I cannot see that value as well. So there's no point writing this because it's not going to show us any intensity of the light. Okay, so this will become like we cannot use this, we cannot use this, and we cannot use this. So now I can declare light, and if I were to change some value, I will write dot, and as soon as I write dot, so I can see all the uh, values I can change, but I cannot change the value of intensity because that is the private value of the light, and I cannot make any changes to that. I cannot even read what is the intensity of the light. So we can fix that, like how we read the intensity of light. So what we can do is um, we can go here and we write a function public get intensity. Get intensity public, and let's make it integer because it's going to return something. And I write return intensity. Okay, so I write this function within the light, and if I were to get like what is the intensity of the light, I can write, I can call the get intensity function is going to return the intensity value. Okay, so you can see like I'm not passing any value to this, so which means I cannot change in any intensity value over here. So if I save this and I uh, go to this function, so I will write light intensity, it will not work, but if I write dot get, so it will give me get intensity. So this way I can get the intensity value of the light, and the same goes with this one. Light dot instead of accessing the variable directly, I can access it using this function get intensity. And now I can see in this case, I think I will get 5 as the answer. Why? Because by default, these lights have 5 as the intensity value. So I write it this way, and if I run this, error, line manager, where did I go wrong? Light dot get intensity. System cannot be resolved is not a field. कहाँ problem हुई? Java 10 में problem है. So, oh, okay, because of this. So we run this. So you get 5 and 5. So you can see like I have declared a light variable over here, and it will default to this 5 value. Similarly, I have created a street light over here, which is a light. And again, the value is the default value, which has been defined over here. जी हमने फंक्शन में कोई वैल्यू पास नहीं की तो क्या हुआ um, so if the intensity is private, then can we change its value through the function get intensity? To get the intensity, since we are getting the intensity, why would you change the intensity using get intensity? So well, what you can do is you can make a separate function, which I'm doing it right now, and I will do it this way. And instead, because I'm not returning anything, I will keep it void. And instead of get intensity, I will set it as set intensity, and I'll pass intensity. Let's call it int I. I pass the intensity over here. So intensity is equal to I. Okay. So I will create a separate function, which is set intensity, and I will set the intensity of the function of the intensity variable this way. So this is how I will do this. And now suppose I wanted to set the intensity of the light. I will write light dot set intensity, and I will pass the value 2 in that case, and the value of the intensity of the light, the intensity value of the light will be set to 2, and over here I do nothing, so it will stay 5. So now if I run this, ठीक है, तो जिसको 2 करनी थी वो 2 कर दिया, 5 यानी 5 कर दिया. अच्छा सर लाइट मैनेजमेंट वाले में ही क्रिएट नहीं कर सकते ये लाइट वाली सारी प्रॉपर्टीज मेन से ऊपर नहीं उसके अंदर आप नहीं कर सकते. यू हैव टू मेक अ सेपरेट क्लास एंड यू हैव टू पुट एवरीथिंग इन दैट क्लास बिकॉज दिस वे देखिए ना आपके पास अगर आप सारे वेरिएबल्स डिक्लेयर करेंगे तो वो वेरिएबल किस लाइट के होंगे. ठीक है ना कि if I declare intensity over here, suppose here I write, whether you can at least in the main function, like the class which has the main function which are you going to run. So normally you do not declare variables in that class because it's a static class. Um, um, so आप जैसे कि मैं लिखूँ int intensity. तो अब ये इंटेंसिटी किसकी है? ये लाइट 1 की है, ये स्ट्रीट लाइट की है, किसकी इंटेंसिटी है? ठीक है, तो इट्स डिफिकल्ट कि फिर मुझे इसके लिए इंटेंसिटी 1, इंटेंसिटी 2, इंटेंसिटी 3 डिफाइन करने पड़ेगी, उनकी मुझे वैल्यूज देनी पड़ेंगी. तो इट बिकम्स cumbersome. Now, since we have lights and there can be many type of lights, but uh, so we cannot do that. So since these intensity, the on and off, the status of the light is whether it is on or off. That what is the color of the light, that. So these are all related to a single light, and all the lights have these properties, but they have different values. Okay, so that's why you create a single light class and you give it all the properties and all the functions that you think that you are going to use with that class, and you give it those functions. And once that is done, you just declare a simple variable of that class, and it will have all those variables inside of it. Okay, sir. Live management वाले में ही अच्छा sir, we have not printed set intensity. How is two coming? We have not printed, so you don't have to print anything. Printing anything is printing anything is for your benefit if you want to see like what is happening. So I called the set intensity function, I passed the value 2. So when I write light dot set intensity, what happens is that this function is called, the 2 is passed over here, and the value of 2 is assigned to the intensity variable. So that particular class, like this object, I'm setting its intensity value to be 2. And when I get its intensity, I will get the value 2 in that case. So this is how it is working. Okay. So uh, so now the question comes up. Okay, so now we have used a function to get to do this, but we could have done this directly. We could just could have written light dot set intensity. Just make the variables public, like as I had done before, and just assign the value. Yes, you can do that, but whenever you're working with classes, the idea is that you you keep as many things as private as you can. Okay, so all the properties, they are normally met, they are normally supposed to be private. Okay, one of the reasons is that, first of all, maybe you do not want the user to change anything, but you want the user to read everything. So if you want to read a certain value, you can always write a function like this, and you can return the value, and that way you can read all the values. And if you don't, it's like, and then you don't have to create the certain intensity value. So that way, the value of intensity will not be accessible. So you will not be able to do something like this and change the value of intensity that way. But suppose you wanted to change the intensity of the light, but you wanted to keep that intensity under certain parameters. So uh, for example, the intensity of a light cannot be less than 0, right? It can be 0, but if it's the intensity, if it's 0, if there's no intensity, so you cannot see anything. So it cannot be less than 0. So that kind of check you can set up like this. So you can write if I is less than 0. Sorry, let's make it less is greater than equal to 0, and I is less than 10. Let's make it 11. So then the intensity will be assigned. Okay. So whenever somebody tries to write something to, okay, let's make it more readable so that we reduce the confusion. So so this so now this function gives us more control. So this way, if somebody wants to assign a value of -1 or -5, -10, he cannot do that. Similarly, if he wants to assign a value 11, 12, 22, 200, he cannot do that as well. Okay, so now if somebody wants to set a proper value, he will have to give a value between 0 and 10, and only that value can be assigned to this intensity variable. In else, you can always write something like system dot out dot print ln, and you can write give value between 0 and 10. So you can write something like this. So if somebody gives an invalid value, you can write give a value between 0 and 10. Uh, so what is the function of this dot? Okay. Um, so let's save this. And now we come over here. So whenever I write light is equal to new light, what this means is that I have created a light which has different properties, and those all those properties are inside one object. So I create an object by writing new light. So if I don't write new light, so what I'm doing, I'm just saying that okay, I'm declaring a variable, but no memory is assigned to that variable. So now if I want to assign some value, I have to write it light is equal to new light. So this assigns a memory location to this light. Now at that memory location, there are a couple of more variables. Those variables are the properties of the light, like this. Okay, so these are the properties of the light, and all of these properties are inside this one variable. So now if I want to set a value of one of those properties, I will write light dot, and I can access all the public properties and the public functions by writing light dot. So this dot actually helps you access those properties and those functions. So if somebody was asking like what is the function of this is that function. Um, So if I write something like this, set intensity, it will work. And I'm getting 2 and 5. So if I give, suppose, something like 20, which is greater than 10, if I run this again, so it's saying give a value between 0 and 10, and it did not change the value of intensity, and it's defaulting to the original intensity of the light. So but the intensity will have a value of 5 if the user puts a value greater than 10. Yes, so that is what happened over here. So you are right. Okay, because whenever you create the light, it will create it based on these default values. So every light will be on over here. Every light will have the intensity 5, and every light will be red as given over here. Okay. Um, so this will work this way. Okay, so this is how you will get the you can change the values, and if you want to like set the intensity, so this intensity is under our control now. So if somebody gives an invalid value, so this function checks for those invalid values, and it assigns the value accordingly. So if the intensity was within these valid limits, it will assign those values. But if it is not within these valid limits, it will not assign those values. Um, Now, what we can do is we can see that, okay, we have uh, we have this light, and we have the R, G, and B value. Okay, so this red, green, and blue, if we combine them together, we get a color value. Okay, so this is basically a color. And so what we can do is like every light has a certain color. So over here we have the red, green, and blue assigned. So we can put all of these values into one class, and let's call that a color class. So I create a file, I create a new file, and uh, I go to file, save as, and save it as Java, and let's call it light color, L color. Let's call it L color, L color. Okay. Save. So it's L color, and I write public int red is equal to 255, and public int green is equal to 0, public int blue is equal to 0. Okay, now we have defined our own color class. I've not written color because if I remember correctly, Java has its own color class. I do not want this color class to be mixed up with that color class, so let's make it L color, okay? Just to keep it separate. So L color is a class that we have defined. It stores the value of color, okay? So once we do something like this, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to keep everything public. So once I do something like this, I go to light, and instead of writing something like this, I will write L color, which is equal L color, which is equal to new L color. Okay. And let's make it public. Okay. So now instead of writing red is this value, blue is this value, and green is this value, I have an L color class, and it automatically assigns those values over here. And whenever I create this object, so those values come inside the color class. So if I've done this correctly, so I go to my light management. So I have light intensity with 20. And now if I write something like light dot, and now you can see like I have color, and I write color and dot. If I want to set the red color, I can set it as red, and I put it equal to 100. Okay, so within the light, we have another class which is color, and which has the variable red. It also has the green variable. It has also has a blue variable. So I can write the value of color this way. And now if I want to get the value of color, I can always write something like this, light dot color dot green. Now since this value is public, so I can access the value over here. So in this case, it should give me 0. So let's run this. See, it gives me, it says give a value between 0 and 10, then it just sets the intensity to 5, and then it prints the color, the value of color green, which was 0. So it did it this way. So you can see that when we were working with light और L color नहीं होगा क्योंकि L color is the name of the class. It's not the name of the variable. So the name of the variable is color, and the type of that variable is as L color. Okay. तो इस तरह आपके पास ये कलर हो सकता है. Now suppose I have color and want to see what the color values are. So I can write something like public static um, public static void show, and I write system dot out dot print ln, and I write red plus red, and then I write shift 2 slash n green, green, and then I write something like, sorry, not like this, plus green, and finally plus I write slash n and blue, which is equal to, here we give a space, and blue is equal to plus blue. Error क्यों दे रही है? red plus. Okay, now make a static reference to the non-static. Oh, okay. So हम static नहीं कर सकते. So where static? Okay. Now we have these variables, and we write red, green, and blue. So if you want to see these values, we can always call the show function. And now, if I want to see what is the value of uh, because the variables are red, green, and blue. They were the properties of the light. And if I want to like have them if I want to have them defined within a static function, I need to keep them as static. And as I said before, static makes the variables public. And since the variables will become, static makes the variable global, so all the lights will have the same RGB value. So I cannot do that. And so that's why it did not allow me to do that, because it said that these are the local variables of each and every light. These are not the global variables. These are not the shared variables. So that's why it's not going to allow me to do that. So if I want to have a variable which is shared across all the lights, I need to define it as static, and I can only call the static function for those values which are non-static, which are static. Okay, so since these variables were non-static, so that's why they don't let me do that. So let's save this, and now if I come over here, in fact here, if I change the value of red, I change the value. Let me change another value. They change the value of green, color dot green, and let's make it 200. And now, if I want to see like what is the value, what is the color value, I will write light dot color dot show. Okay. So now I'm calling the function show, and will show me like what is the value of color for this particular light. And then it will show me intensity, and it's going to print me the value of, well, I don't have to print this value. I can just comment this out, and I can run it this way. So it's showing me like the red value is 100, the green value is 200, and it's the 0 is the blue value. So for this particular light, I have this color, and I can show that color. And this light, if we go over here, it has just one variable, color, and this color variable stores the other three variables. No, static variables means we can change those values, but those will be for all the objects of that variable. For example, जैसे कि आप सब लोगों का मैं कहूँ नेशनैलिटी तो आप पाकिस्तान रखेंगे ना, पाकिस्तानी. तो अगर सैंक्शंस लगेंगे पाकिस्तान पे तो आप सब पे लगेंगे, ठीक है. अगर आप लोगों के ऊपर ट्रैवल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगेंगी, सब पे लगेंगी, बिकॉज इट्स अ वैल्यू जो कि आप सबके ऊपर वो है लागू होती है, ठीक है ना. तो वो आप सबके ऊपर लागू होती है. तो वो एक ऐसा वेरिएबल होगा आपका जो होगा नेशनैलिटी. Nationality for everyone is going to be the same. Whoever is a Pakistani, his or her nationality is going to be Pakistani, लेकिन they can have different names. तो फर्स्ट कहें कि कहना नहीं चाहिए, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली 1971 में जब पाकिस्तान टूटा था, जो सारे जो नेशनैलिटी जो कि बांग्लादेश में थी, उनकी नेशनैलिटी एकदम से पाकिस्तान से चेंज होकर बांग्लादेश हो गई थी. उससे 47 में हम सबकी नेशनैलिटी इंडियन से चेंज होकर पाकिस्तानी हो गई थी. So that was a variable which changed, and that applied to each and everyone who lived in that territory. Okay, sir, show light management again. So we are showing the light management again. Okay, so now you can see that we in this small time I have declared two classes. The first class was the light class. The second class was the color class. And with the color class, I can access the variables something like this, and I can change those variables. Now, if I want to see the color, I can always call the show function, and it will show me the color values. Now, similarly, I can write the show function for the light itself. So if I go over here and I write the show function, so I write public void show, and over here I write system. Okay, let's me go over here. Allow me to copy that. काम आसान करो. I write this. So I write it as status slash n status, and I write status, and here it is intensity, and I write intensity over here. So the intensity will show me intensity, the status will show me status. Now about the color, I can simply write color show. It is that simple. So if I were to show the intensity, I can write as an order of intensity. It will show me the intensity. If I write status, it will show me the status. And if I want to show the color, so I'm just calling the show function of the color itself. So that will complete the show function for the light itself. So it's sort of like recursion. So instead of color dot show, I write light dot show. And it's going to show me the status of the light itself. So if I run this, so you can see I am getting all the values over here. It's showing me the intensity, it's showing me the status, and then it's showing me the color values. So they're showing me the color values because this show function calls the light show function, and sorry, this function calls the color show function. So मैं लाइट बंद कर दिया गलती से. Let me file open recent. Where is light? There's no light. Java, and we have L light. ठीक है, तो हमने show function था उसमें we printed out the intensity and that color, and for showing the color we called the color show function of the color itself. Light dot show दोबारा समझा दें. It's very simple. Okay, but let me see other questions. Sir, please explain the word constructor as you know understand in proper way in previous class. I will be coming to that very soon. Constructor भी बताऊंगा आपको. Sir, if we write system or color in light.java, will the output will that now it will not output the color. Okay? It will not output the color. It does not work that way. You have to call the show function to see all the values. सर लाइट डॉट शो दोबारा समझा दें. लाइट डॉट शो बहुत सिंपल है. लाइट के अंदर मैंने शो फंक्शन बनाया. इसमें इंटेंसिटी और स्टेटस जो है दैट हैज समथिंग टू डू विद द कलर. So I had to print those out something like this. Intensity is this, and color is status is this. So so this will print out the intensity and color. And in order to show the color, I just call the show function of the color itself. And the show function of the color is this. ठीक है, तो ये फंक्शन कॉल होगा तो ये वैल्यूज आपको दिखा देगा. तभी हमारे पास ये सारी वैल्यूज इकट्ठी आ गई हैं. ठीक है, जो हमने कॉल की थी. तो और मुझे सिर्फ करना क्या पड़ा था, मुझे लाइट मैनेजमेंट का जो फंक्शन था उसके अंदर जाके मुझे सिर्फ लाइट डॉट शो लिखना पड़ा था. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मुझे suppose I create a class and I don't change any values and I want to see all the values, I can just write light dot show and it will show me all the values which I have assigned. ठीक है, तो हमें वो इंडिविजुअल वैल्यूज चेंज करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. इट विल जस्ट शो मी ऑल द वैल्यूज. ठीक है, तो अब जो फायदा है वो ये है कि अब आप देखें कि अब ये नहीं है कि मैंने एल कलर डिफाइन किया तो मैं लाइट के अंदर से भी एल कलर इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूँ। मैं एल कलर यहाँ पे भी लिख सकता हूँ, एल कलर आई कॉल इट COL इज इक्वल टू न्यू एल। तो अगेन आई कैन बिकॉज इट्स जस्ट अ कलर, ठीक है। कलर को मैं लाइट के लिए इस्तेमाल कर लूँ, कलर को मैं पेंटिंग के लिए इस्तेमाल कर लूँ, कलर को मैं ड्राइंग के लिए इस्तेमाल कर लूँ, कलर को मैं पेंट के लिए इस्तेमाल कर लूँ। तो वो तो कलर की वैल्यू है ना, तो उसको अगर मैं एक स्पेसिफिक कलर की वैल्यू डिफाइन करना चाहता हूँ, मेन कलर डिफाइन करना चाहता हूँ, तो मैं आई कैन राइट इट दिस वे। ठीक है, तो इसका जरूरी नहीं है कि मैंने कलर की क्लास लिखी है तो वो लाइट ही इस्तेमाल करेगी, वो कोई भी इस्तेमाल कर सकता है एज लॉन्ग एज that class is in the same folder as the color class, ठीक है। तो मैं इसको यूं भी डिफाइन कर सकता हूँ। अब this thing has nothing to do with this light, अभी एक सेपरेट कलर, ठीक है। यानी आप फर्स्ट कहना कि आपका कमरे का कलर वाइट है, उसमें आके आपने ग्रीन लाइट लगा दी, ठीक है। तो अब वाइट और ग्रीन का कोई मिलाप नहीं है, लेकिन तो इसलिए फिर आपको ग्रीन लाइट ही शो होगी, ठीक है, क्योंकि जो लाइट का कलर है इट्स ग्रीन, लेकिन जो आपका कलर है ऑफ कम जो आपके रूम का कलर है वो आपका कोई भी कलर हो सकता है जो कि आप डिफाइन करते हैं। तो ये भी एक डिफरेंस है जो कि आप ख्याल रखिएगा इसका। Just because I'm using a class in another class doesn't mean that that class is completely dependent on that class. um, ये होने के बाद अब आते हैं कंस्ट्रक्टर के ऊपर। अच्छा, जो कंस्ट्रक्टर है, whenever whenever a class, an object of a class is created, the constructor of the class is called. Okay, a constructor क्या होता है? constructor एक function होता है which needs to be public, और उसकी भी कोई रिटर्न टाइप नहीं होती। रिटर्न टाइप इसलिए नहीं होती क्योंकि ये जो है आपका जो लाइट का ऑब्जेक्ट है वो रिटर्न कर रहा होता है, तो इट्स दैट इज बाय डिफॉल्ट इट रिटर्न्स द लाइट ऑब्जेक्ट। आप कंस्ट्रक्टर जब भी आप लिखते हैं लाइट क्लास, और अगर आप यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर डिफाइन ना करें तो बाय डिफॉल्ट वो ये कंस्ट्रक्टर डिफाइन कर देता है, ठीक है। तो ये बाय डिफॉल्ट क्लास को खुद ही डिफाइन कर देता है। अगर आप खुद से डिफाइन करना चाहें तो आप उसको यूँ डिफाइन कर सकते हैं। अब ये जो काम मैंने इधर किया हुआ इंटेंसिटी, स्टेटस और एल कलर, आई कैन डू द सेम थिंग ओवर हियर। 4 और स्टेटस को यहाँ से स्टेटस इज इक्वल टू ट्रू से फॉल्स कर देते हैं, और कलर को मैं एज इट इज छोड़ देता हूँ, ठीक है। तो अब यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है, यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है, तो मोस्ट लाइकली these the values we write over here, they are going to override these values. So instead of value to be 4, it will say value to be 5, it will print me 4. So if I'm not mistaken, it will do it this way, or otherwise it will work the other way around. So let's run this, and I think it should show me 4 intensity. Oh, it showed me it's a 5 intensity. Okay. Oh no, it showed me 4 intensity. ठीक है, इसका मतलब ये है कि even if you define the intensity value over here, it is overwritten by this function, by the constructor. Okay, तो होता ये है कि ये जो तरीका है ये लिखने का, so this is how actually you normally write the class file. आप सारे वेरिएबल्स ऊपर डिक्लेयर कर देते हैं और उनकी जो वैल्यूज है वो कंस्ट्रक्टर में डिफाइन कर देते हैं, ठीक है। लेकिन ये करना जरूरी नहीं है, आप you can write something like this. So in that case you don't have to write something over here, you only write very important thing which you want to write, which you want to be executed within that constructor, ठीक है। तो इसको आप दोनों तरीकों से लिख सकते हैं, आपकी मर्जी है, ठीक। तो suppose I write it this way, then I don't have to write this way, okay? And status I wrote over here is true, so instead of that I remove it over here and I make it true over here. Okay, so whenever an object is created, okay, so this constructor is called automatically. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मैं इधर आऊँ तो मैं लिखा लाइट जैसे न्यू लाइट, तो यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल हो रहा है। जब कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल हो रहा है वैल्यू असाइन करेगा, वैल्यू असाइन करने के बाद एक ऑब्जेक्ट को रिटर्न करेगा जो कि ये लाइट का वेरिएबल उस ऑब्जेक्ट को होल्ड कर देगा। तो सारी जो वैल्यूज हैं लाइट की वो इस लाइट के वेरिएबल के अंदर आ जाएंगे, फिर आप उसको इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं जैसे मैंने इस्तेमाल किया। तो इसको मैं अब अगर रन करूँ तो आई विल गेट 4 एंड फॉल्स, आई गेस 4 एंड ट्रू, ठीक है। तो ये आ गया क्योंकि मैंने 4 एंड ट्रू यहाँ पे असाइन किया था, 4 एंड ट्रू, ठीक है, असाइन कर दिया तो इसने ये कर देगा। ना नेम ऑफ द कंस्ट्रक्टर नीड्स टू बी द सेम एज दैट ऑफ द क्लास। अगर आप उसका कोई और नाम दे देंगे तो वो फिर एक और फंक्शन बन जाता है, सेपरेट सेपरेट फंक्शन, एंड दैट वोंट वर्क। नाउ सपोज अब अगर आप कंस्ट्रक्टर बनाने से क्या होता है कि सारे के सारे जो सारे के सारी जो लाइट्स है ना, जैसे कि ये न्यू लाइट बनाई तो इसकी इंटेंसिटी 4 होगी, स्ट्रीट लाइट बनाई इसकी इंटेंसिटी 4 होगी, ठीक है। तो कंस्ट्रक्टर क्या करता है कि सारे जो भी आपकी लाइट बनेगी तो उसकी जो इंटेंसिटी है वो आपकी 4 होगी, लेकिन आप कहते हैं कि नहीं, मैं स्ट्रीट लाइट की इंटेंसिटी 10 रखना चाहता हूँ, मैं 4 नहीं रखना चाहता, और वो मैं चाहता हूँ 10 तभी हो कि जब स्ट्रीट लाइट बन रही हो। तो आप क्या करेंगे ऐसे में कि यू विल ओवरलोड दैट फंक्शन। नहीं, आपको फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग पढ़ा था हमने। फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग का मतलब ये कि एक ही फंक्शन दो काम करो, ठीक। तो इसमें हमारा एक ही कंस्ट्रक्टर है, वो दो काम करना चाहता है। तो पहला काम तो ये है कि अगर मैं उसको डायरेक्टली बना दूं, डायरेक्टली मैं कहूँगा लाइट इज न्यू लाइट, तो उससे वो ये फंक्शन कॉल हो जाएगा। लेकिन अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि नहीं, उसकी इंटेंसिटी 10 होनी चाहिए, तो आई कैन राइट समथिंग लाइक दैट, इंटेंस, इंटेंस कर देते हैं। तो इंट इंटेंस इंटेंसिटी इज इक्वल टू इंटेंस, ठीक है। तो अब ये मैंने एक ओवरलोडेड कंस्ट्रक्टर बना दिया। तो अगर मैं कोई वैल्यू पास करता हूँ कंस्ट्रक्टर को, तो ये कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल हो जाएगा। अगर मैं कोई वैल्यू पास नहीं करता तो ये कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल होगा। अगर मैं कोई वैल्यू पास नहीं करता तो हर लाइट की इंटेंसिटी 4 होगी। अगर मैं वैल्यू पास कर देता हूँ तो इसमें इंटेंसिटी जो है ना वो आपकी वो होगी जो कि मैं ऐसे पास करूंगा। तो इसको हम सेव करते हैं, लाइट मैनेजमेंट में आते हैं। तो यहाँ पे आते हैं कि लाइट इज न्यू लाइट, और यहाँ पे मैं इंटेंसिटी 10 पास करता हूँ। अब स्ट्रीट लाइट की जो इंटेंसिटी है वो मुझे वो 10 शो करेगा। यहाँ पे बिफोर शो कर रहा था, तो यहाँ पे इंटेंसिटी जो है वो 10 शो करेगा। इफ यू रन दिस, ठीक है, इसने 10 शो कर दी, ठीक है। अब अब एक और चीज जो है जो कि हमने देखनी है वो ये है कि हो तो ये सकता है यहाँ पे कोई आदमी जो है वैल्यू वो अगर 20 पास कर देगा और 20 वैल्यू असाइन हो जाएगी, तो विच इज नॉट समथिंग यू वांट टू डू। तो ऐसे में हम क्या करेंगे कि इस सेट इंटेंसिटी का फंक्शन है, इसको इस्तेमाल करेंगे। सेट इंटेंसिटी का फंक्शन जो है उसको हम इधर लिख देंगे, और उसके अंदर हम ये इंटेंस जो है पास करेंगे, ठीक है। तो अब कोई वैल्यू पास करेगा विच इज एन इनवैलिड वैल्यू, सेट इंटेंसिटी जो है उस वैल्यू को चेक कर लेगी, ठीक है। और सेट, तो ऐसे में क्या हो रहा है कि बहुत ज्यादा हो गया। ओके, ठीक है, इधर हम रुक जाते हैं, अभी यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर है, बस रुक जाते हैं, ठीक। तो okay, so over here we haven't assigned a value of intensity. uh, Over here we are calling a function which is intense. So since we haven't assigned any value of intensity, so I think this will default to 0. अब अगर हम कोई invalid value देते हैं यहाँ पे, तो उसकी जो इंटेंसिटी है वो सेट करेगा इधर। अब चूंकि अगर हम 20 देते हैं, 20 जो है इसकी लिमिट से बियॉन्ड है, तो इंटेंसिटी को डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू पे कर देगा। So in constructor, can we add color as well? Yes, we can add color as well. ठीक है, मैं रुक जाता हूँ इधर, कोई बात नहीं। आपके पास रिकॉर्ड तो हो रही है ना, रिकॉर्डिंग, सो लेट्स स्टॉप इट हियर। ओके, सो बस इसको बस एक दफा चला के देख लेते हैं, ताकि लेट्स एंड इट एट दैट नोट। सो वी पास 20 over here, we run this। So इसने क्या किया कि हमने 20 सेट करने की कोशिश की, तो उसने कहा कि गिव अ वैल्यू बिटवीन 0 एंड 10, और इसने बाय डिफॉल्ट 0 असाइन कर दिया, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे लाइट की आप देखें तो इस कंस्ट्रक्टर के अंदर वैल्यू 4 हो रही है, लेकिन ओरिजिनली जो वैल्यू है उसकी 0 रहेगी, क्योंकि हमने इसकी यहाँ पे कोई वैल्यू असाइन नहीं की है। तो अगर आप चाहते हैं कि इसकी वैल्यू 0 ना हो, उसकी वैल्यू 4 ही हो, तो ऐसे में आप क्या कर सकते हैं कि इस कंस्ट्रक्टर के अंदर आप डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल, तो जब आप 20 वैल्यू पास करेंगे तो वो इधर आएगी 20 में। तो फिर ये लाइट का फंक्शन कॉल हो जाएगा। लाइट का फंक्शन क्या कर रहा है, इंटेंसिटी को 4 कर रहा है और स्टेटस को ट्रू कर रहा है। So just in case the value is invalid, तो इंटेंसिटी जो है सर्टेन इंटेंसिटी वैल्यू सेट नहीं करने देगा, आपको 4 आंसर दे देगा. लेकिन अगर जस्ट इन केस द वैल्यू इज वैलिड तो फिर जो इंटेंसिटी की वैल्यू वो ओवरराइट हो जाएगी क्योंकि हम सर्टेन इंटेंसिटी कॉल कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें वो असाइन हो जाएगा. तो this will work this way. So now if we go to light management, if we run this, so instead of this 0 we will get a 4. एरर दे दिया उसने, करने ही दे रहा मुझे. Method light is undefined for the type light. 13. होना नहीं चाहिए. 15. इस पे एरर दे रहा है. अच्छा ये कॉल नहीं करने दे रहा. Something to do with Java. C++ में आराम से हो जाता है. So okay, so you cannot do this. Again वो मैं दोनों लैंग्वेजेस को कंफ्यूज करता रहता हूँ. So they are very similar. Okay. So in this case, then we can just do this. Okay. No, 10:15 पे नहीं होगा क्योंकि I have already set the stuff at 10. Everybody is going to be there at 10. So अब सब लोग इधर अवेलेबल नहीं है. कुछ लोग सिर्फ क्विज देने के लिए आते हैं. अब उनके लिए अगर मैं चेंज कर दूँ तो फिर कंफ्यूजन कॉल हो जाएगी. It will cause confusion. So I cannot do that. यहाँ पे 32 है. The class strength is about 46. So there are 14 people who are still missing. So they might come up at 10 a.m. And if I change it now, so it will cause a lot of confusion. I cannot do that. So आप 10 बजे ही इसको करें. आपका जब quiz, you will start at quiz at 10 and at 10:40 it will be done. And then there's not going to be a lab at that point. But what we will do is we are going to go through the quiz itself. Okay, quiz में आपने कैसे solve करना है. So at 10:40, so I will be there during the quiz. Of course, the quiz is very straightforward. It's clear. There are going to be 2 questions. I think both of the questions can be done within 30 minutes, but I have given you 40 minutes. The first question is relatively easy. You should be able to do it in 10 minutes, and I have given you the second question, which I think it can be done in 20 minutes, but I have still given you 30 minutes extra. So you have about 40 minutes to do the quiz. Once the quiz is done, I will review the quiz questions, and after that, so that's how it is going to be. And again, the quiz is going to be within मैंने पहला क्वेश्चन था वो 2 मिनट में कर लिया था. ठीक है, तो इसलिए आप लोगों को 10 मिनट 10 बल्कि 20 मिनट दिए उसके लिए. आपको LMS में असाइनमेंट के अंदर जो है क्विज जो है वो 10 बजे एक्टिव हो जाएगा. ठीक है, तो यू हैव टू एक्सेस असाइनमेंट्स and there will be quiz number 2. It says quiz number 2 Thursday, I think. And you can just open it up at 10 a.m. and go download the file, the PDF file, and then just solve the quiz. अब वही है कि आपने एक मेन क्लास बनानी है. मेन क्लास के अंदर आपने दोनों फंक्शंस को लिखना है और फिर वो एक जो फाइल है उसको आपने अपलोड करना है. That's it. And how will you explain the quiz after it is done? I will explain it the way I explain everything, by coming online and sharing the screen and talking to you the way I'm talking to you right now. लैब का टाइम है ना, उसमें मैं आपका क्विज रिव्यू करूंगा कि आपका क्विज में किस तरह करना था. Okay, so I'll give you, it's 9:41, so I'll end this right now. So you can guys just relax for the next 18 minutes and then give the quiz. So till next time.